Hey guys, it is Tanya, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another speed build and to another installment of the Squish. I am actually back today with our build series we are doing for the various generations of the Not So Berry Challenge, and today we are on Generation 8, which is Peach. If you're not familiar with this challenge, it is a 10 generation legacy challenge created by Lil Simsy and Always Simming. I always have it linked down below in these videos, and I go over what the task is for the generation we are currently working on. So if you are curious in reading more about this generation, this challenge overall, there are links down below. And also I have created the first 7 tiny homes in this series previously to this, so make sure you check those out as well. But for Generation 8 Peach, this is what we are working with. Your mother always taught you to follow your dreams. You've always wanted to be a detective. You've always wanted to be a comedian. Well, dang it, you can do both. Detective by day, comedian by night, you can do anything you set your mind to. Your traits are foodie, lazy, and goofball. Your aspiration is to be a joke star, and your career is a detective. The rules of this generation are you must marry a coworker, you need to play an instrument, master the gourmet cooking and comedy skills, master the detective career, and live in a different world than the one you were raised in. So as you can see here, we are building in Newcrest. I decided after a little bit of back and forth that Newcrest would be a good spot for this particular generation because you can sort of see the city in the background, and I felt like with at least the detective, and actually both of them, detective and comedian, I felt like would thrive in the city, but I also didn't want to do another tiny apartment like I did a few generations ago for the generation that needed to live in a needs TLC apartment. So I thought this is just outside the city and it could be a little bit more of a quiet space. Also, you can probably guess by the fact that I put this van out here, we decided that this sim was not a very good detective. Like, they keep getting further in their career, but they're not very good at their job. And we're not really sure how that's happening because it's not very undercover to be driving around that van with a big satellite dish on top. So, you know, I'm not sure they're great at their job, but I thought that was a lot of fun, and maybe they kind of play off of that, where a lot of their comedy that they're doing to grow their comedian status is joking about how bad they are at being a detective, but they still keep on growing in that way. So this house is pretty small. It is a tiny house, of course. I'm trying to incorporate a bunch of the peach color, which I interpret as like a light orange. And so the outside of this has a lot of that sort of wood tone to it. We bring some of that to the inside as well. And honestly, I adore the way the outside of this house comes out. I like the inside as well, but there's something about the exterior that just makes me really happy. I think it's probably the front porch, how it's on a diagonal. And so it's a little bit of a different shape than I've done before. I just think it's really fun. And we're just working on some more landscaping now. I wanted most of it to be structured, but I have a couple of just like bushes here and there. And I really like the pathway I have up to the door with those rugs from Get Together. I think those worked nicely here. And then just getting some bushes to line the driveway space over here to make it look a little bit more solidified in its space. I really like these bushes from Debug. They're a little bit, I don't know, they're not perfectly kempt, I suppose, and I think they're really nice. I also added one of these busking stations because I thought it could be kind of fun to have like the sim do little performances outside or something. And then we're heading inside to figure out the floor plan. We end up having a very small 3x1 bathroom, and this house actually ends up being open concept, sort of, and more like a studio apartment, I would guess. It doesn't have a separate bedroom. It looks like it does right now, but we're going to get rid of that wall. And I think it worked out pretty nicely in the end. I haven't done a tiny house in a while where the bedroom was not separate. So it was kind of refreshing to do that again. And also, because this sim needs to master the gourmet cooking skill, I really wanted to make sure, at least for a tiny house, they had a big kitchen. This is probably a pretty small kitchen or average size kitchen if this were a bigger house. But for a tiny home, I think it's pretty spacious. So I definitely wanted to include that. We end up adding a window over here that I'm going to swap out a little bit later. So there's going to be a door you could walk out into an herb garden. So maybe you can make some fancier gourmet dishes. And yeah, just working on the cabinetry over here as well. I opted to go for the countertops and cabinets from Dream Home Decorator because they come in this like peachy orange color and it's just really pretty. So I think that came out pretty cute, just adding our stove in here. We have the fridge over in the corner and a nice sink here and just shuffling that stuff around. I also decided to have this little piece of counter that pops out be a spot for a computer. If you didn't know, I do build all of these not so very tiny houses over on twitch.tv/Gryphi because it's more fun to build them as a community, and then I shorten them down and post them here. But I thought this was a really cool idea, and we discovered that they must have made some sort of update because when we sized down the countertop to put the computer on, you could still see it. It like showed you where it was and you could still grab it, and I thought that was so cool. I'm not sure if I explained that properly or well, but hopefully you could have seen what I meant. I was just really happy that somebody in chat had suggested that we put a computer there because I wouldn't have noticed that if they hadn't suggested that, because I probably wouldn't have put a computer there. But anyway, we are into decorating the living space here. I thought that this couch from Nifty Knitting was absolutely perfect with the colors. And then that allowed us to, you know, pull colors from that to try and add some other additional colors to the space other than peach. So there are some blues and yellows there. So I was trying to incorporate those. And then I tried to add this photo up above the bed. I ended up getting rid of that in the end and toning down the space because right now I'm trying to incorporate that. So I'm adding yellows and blacks and it gets like really dark in here. And it's not bad, but I didn't like it that much. So I ended up changing it to something a little bit more muted, but still having a lot of that peachy color in here, of course. And you'll see where it gets to in the end. I think it comes out a lot better than it is right now. But for the moment, there's black curtains and like gray walls. And we're just trying to incorporate colors based on that one painting I put above the bed. But the painting I actually end up having above the bed in the end is one of the ones from Dream Home Decorator, which I think worked out nicely. And then I am grabbing a guitar as a secondary instrument for this sim to play. The main one I put was a keyboard. And I also added the microphone for the comedy skill, and we're getting some dressers in this space. Also, no worries, your Sims can get into the bed here. I did playtest it, so I will make sure that the playtested version is uploaded to the gallery. I had to move a couple of things ever so slightly to make it work. So I will, like I said, make sure I upload the correct one, but I was pretty confident it was going to work when I was building it. I just ended up having to nudge the lamp like a tiny bit closer to the wall. But just adding a mirror over here and then deciding to add some tiling into the kitchen space, which I thought helped to separate the area a little bit better. And we should be changing some of the colors too. I know the curtain in the kitchen is still black, so I have to change that. But the bathroom is super simple, just using more of that wood tone in here with that really pretty modern sink. There's also this like cabinet above the toilet from Parenthood that came in a peachy color, which I was really happy about. And just getting a towel in here, and I think we also have a plant that I ended up adding. Yeah, I'm glad that there is some cute hanging plants that came with Nifty Knitting, but I am so excited if the leak that came out recently is true and we're getting a plant kit because the hanging plants look beautiful. I can't wait to see what's actually in that and see like confirmation of that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there was a leak from Xbox about the next kit, the Modern Sanctuary kits. And I think it was called Blooming Rooms, and it looks to be plants. So I posted a video about that the other day if you'd like to check that out. It's just me looking at all the plants and saying that I'm excited. So you didn't miss much, but it does look pretty cool. And if you've wanted more plants in the game, as long as that leak is 100% true, which it seems like it is, then it looks like we're getting that pretty soon. Anyway, I'm just going to be adding some finishing touches throughout some decorations in the kitchen, like having, you know, a spatula and spoon and all of that sorts of stuff, and I think a coat rack by the door, and then finishing up some landscaping before we head into screenshots. So I hope you guys did enjoy this. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. That really does help me out. You can also subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I would love to have you join us, and if you click that bell, it'll turn on notifications to be notified of every single time I upload a new video. And if you have any suggestions on things you would like to see this week, please let me know, because I'm going to be living and breathing Animal Crossing, and I have an Animal Crossing channel now, so links to that down below as well, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.